Yo, what's up, guys? We're live. We're doing another betting breakdown video for you guys here. I got Billy Briz with me. I got Fitz with me. So two people that have been on the show. We're back again, and yeah, man, what's up, guys? You guys ready for this card? How you doing, Fitz?
Good, man. Watching some PFL right now. LFA going on, Road to UFC, a lot of fights. We're just talking about them. Pretty good card tomorrow. Excited to be back here breaking it down.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I mean, for like you said, for an Apex card, this card's pretty good. I mean, what do you think about it, Billy? The whole card, top to bottom here.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited, man. Tomorrow's Kobe Remembrance Day, 8/24/24, and Kobe was like a big investor into the UFC back in the day, before they got big time and stuff like that, like when Dana White first got in the business. So, uh, I went to college for like advertising and marketing, so I'm always looking at those type of stuff like that when we're watching like the card and stuff like that. So it'd be interesting to see what type of influences or type of relations that they have to Kobe RIP though.
Yeah, I saw Tabitha Ricci was wearing like some Kobe like jersey shit, but it was kind of like it was like some merch thing though, but it was like a Kobe 8 jersey. It was pretty cool though. But yeah, man, let's talk about this first fight because I think it's actually I mean the line is like fucking insane at this point, but it's a cool person debuting in the UFC, a little bit older, but how did they say her name, man? They were saying it at the weigh-in today, like way different than I was saying it. Like, does anyone know how to exactly pronounce her
I
first
just
name?
call her the Joker.
The
Yeah,
Joker.
whatever. Because they were saying it like some fucking different way than it looks on paper, like at the weigh-in, but I can't exactly remember. But either way, Wang is fighting the Joker, and Victoria Leonardo. I mean, to me, she's decent, but they just put her in these hard ass fights. So, I mean, what do you guys think? You think at minus 1200? I don't see anyone necessarily seeing any value there, but you see her winning inside the distance or by decision. Does anyone have kind of like a good lean on that? Either you
Oh,
guys?
yeah, I'll go first. I actually think there is a little bit of value on it, man. I mean, she's a former Sambo world champion, KFL kickboxing world champion, boxing world champion. She had an 8-0-1 pro kickboxing record, most notably a win over Valentina Shevchenko, and then a 5-0 pro MMA record in her last fight. She showed that her grappling's gotten a lot better. She secured the guillotine choke from the girl that tried to get a takedown. I think this is a layup here. She's taking on Leonardo, who's 1-3 during her UFC run. All of her losses have been inside the distance, being knocked out 3 different times. And the one note that I have on her in my archives is that she's gotten knocked out multiple times in the regional scene and in the UFC by via head kick. And with the striking resume of Wang, I think she's going to make a splash here in her debut, and I think she's probably going to get a knockout here. It's minus 1200 for a reason. The line's gone drastically up. I actually like the knockout line at plus 110. Knockout round 2 plus 500. The Joker rounds 1 or 2 minus 105. And if you wanted to go KO decision and try to fade a method of victory, you can make that into a minus 330, like a little parlay piece if you want to get away from the minus 1200. But out of the whole entire card, this is probably the one I'm most confident in that she's probably going to win.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I agree. I think she'll win inside the distance, but I don't like that KO decision because I think a submission is really very possible, man. I mean, and I like the number, like plus 500. I mean, I guess that's at Bet Rivers. I think you can only get that like UK and
It's,
stuff, but
it's just a head kick, man.
no, I get what you're
Aaron
saying. But
Blanchfield on the regional scene. I remember when she fought her, she knocked her out via head kick on the Dana White Contender
yeah,
Series, or I think it was her UC debut. She got knocked out via head kick. When Melissa Gatto fought her, she kicked her right in the body. It's like she's just acceptable to those type of kicks, and you're fighting a former world champion kickboxer. I mean, granted, she fought Valentina like a decade ago, but that just shows the level of you fuck the grappling, just get the highlight reel knockout. Like it's probably going to be pretty easy.
no, I mean, she could go out there, but like if you look at Wang, I mean, she's more of like a boxing style. Like she was like a world silver medalist in boxing and all that. So I mean, she has good kicks. I could see her. I think she obviously could land a head kick and knock her out. But the only reason why I like that number, that plus 500, is because if you look at her last fight, I mean,
That was
man, she
wild.
she got the submission pretty easy, man. I mean,
That was pretty wild.
if you think about it, it's like Leonardo's probably going to shoot a takedown. So if she shoots a takedown, she could sub her. I really think so. So I think it's just a good number, you know. But yeah, I mean, the most likely, and that's why it's like -110 is Wang by KO. But yeah, man, I think Leonardo is better than people think. Like she's still pretty tough. Like even her last fight, like where she got fucked up by Silva, she was like going out there like hard in the first round, like trying to win. So it'll be a fight that I think will be a finish because Leonardo's not gonna go in there and like try to survive for 3 rounds. She's gonna try to go out there and win, I think. So yeah, man, we kind of killed this fight, but you got anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, originally coming into this week, I wanted to bet on Leonardo just because, the line's so insane against, debuting Chinese fighter. But, I wasn't familiar with Wang. And then when I looked into her, I see the accolades and then I just rewatch, Leonardo's fights and she's really not too good. She's tough though. So I don't know if she's going to go out there and get starched. So I think maybe the over, I like that, maybe Wang rounds 2 and 3 to win. I think that could be a path. Because I think Leonardo will be able to survive around. Yeah, it's tough because the line is just so insane, man. -1200, in her UFC debut, but I'm sure she'll deliver. And that the boxing, like you said, is nice. I watched the Wan and Yu fight. I couldn't tell which one was which, so that one was a little complicated. But yeah, I think she's gonna make do on her line here. I think there's a reason she's such a big favorite, and the line has only gotten higher. It's gotten steamrolled this entire week, and I think that's for a reason. People are very confident in her.
And then what do you think like about Wang after she wins this fight? Would you like throw her into a big time fight like top 10, top 15, or would you kind of
I
like
think so because I mean,
because that's
if you
kind of
look
what
at the
I'm thinking too.
division,
Yeah.
the division's weak. It's looking for contenders, and she's older, so those are two important factors. There's no
Yeah.
reason to slow her build. She's at the point in her career, where she can prove it. And don't give her a title shot, obviously, in her next fight, but
I think you
anything's gonna be a
slow
step up
roast
from
this, though.
Leonardo.
I think you slow roast this though. Like if you look at the people signed to the UFC that are Chinese, the list is fucking short, and it's a market that they can really tap into. Granted, they do have Willie Zhang as like the champion and all that, but like if they slow roast this and stuff like that, give this like 2-3 years or something like that, like let her just fight out her first contract fighting bums, like her first like 3 fights are just like all highlight reel knockouts, and everybody's stoked for this girl. Like I mean, you saw it at the weigh-ins today when she painted her face to Joker and she said, "I'm looking to kill." that says it all right there. Like
Yeah.
she has the accolades and stuff like that, but she knows what's up. She's in America now. She knows how to play the gimmicks into the marketing and stuff like that. She ain't know a whole lot of English, but she knew what the fuck to say when those cameras started going on.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with her. But next fight, we got two guys from the Ultimate Fighter and Ramasca, unfortunately for him, he was actually supposed to be, or I guess not, you can't say he's supposed to be in the finale, but he was going to have a chance to fight to be in the finale and had some medical problem. He had to pull out. So I guess they told him probably, we'll still give you a fight. They're giving him Nathan Fletcher, who I think is probably one of the better guys that was on the show, but he's smaller. He used to fight at 135. So Fitz, I'll let you go first on this one. What do you think about this fight?
Yeah, both of them, you said it that they said Ramasca is going to get another fight. After the fight he had on Ultimate Fighter, of course that was an easy decision for Dana. It was a show. It was a war. I mean, this guy's wild. He put a beating on the guy who fought some like Russian type fighter, not from Russia, but yeah, it was crazy. He was landing knees, front kicks to the face, and he was getting his ass beat at first, and then he came back, and it was a 2-round beatdown. Fletcher, he's fighting the guy who we're going to talk about a little later. He had a pretty tough fight against him, lost 2 rounds to nothing, but the grappling looked good from Fletcher. He looks very strong. He's got like a Patty the Batty type haircut, but with brown hair. I see why he's the favorite here because I think he's just going to be a lot more technical and be able to implement the grappling. But I mean, Zingmagadas, he has that X factor with how wild he is, with his striking, his aggressiveness. He has a funky style, man. He like moves his lead hand a lot on the feet and like bobs up and down. But I mean, really, it was just a crazy output he had on the Ultimate Fighter fight. It was sick, especially the first round. I mean, throws crazy knees, but I think Fletcher is going to be able to calm the storm, and use his grappling. I know he lost his fight, but the grappling looked good. I think he has a solid, background, and I expect him to get the win here as a slight favorite.
Yeah, I think, when you look at Ziggy Montes, it's more like skill or more will than skill, right? It's like he's out there, he's like real awkward on the feet, but he's throwing crazy amount of output. He has a lot of weapons and he has power, but he gets hurt in like every fight as well. Like he'll get dropped or rocked in like all his fights and then battles back and gets the win. But I don't think his grappling is that good, but it's just Fletcher. He's a good grappler. He has really good back takes and all that. And it looks like I feel like he's going to be able to control the fight with the grappling and get the win if he can get to the back. But I just feel like he's really a 135er. So that's probably why the line is close because Ziggy is going to be a lot bigger and he's going to be reckless, like going for the kill. So if he's walking him down and he could land something, it could be a little bit harder for Fletcher to get the grappling going versus a little bit bigger guy. But I agree. I think Fletcher is going to use the grappling and probably win. He usually wins by finish. That's kind of what I'm hung up on. I don't know if he's going to finish or not, but I think Fletcher will win this one. What do you think, Billy?
Yeah, Fletcher's a next generation MMA Liverpool fighter, Cage Warrior alumni, one of Paddy Pimlet's main training partners. His submission grappling is great. I mean, like if you can't wrestle, like it will be exposed. Like he's finished 6 out of his 8 pro wins by submission, 7 out of 8 inside the distance. My problem lies where when he doesn't have the grappling advantage and the fights are prolonged and it's at striking distance, it's his striking defense is fucking terrible. I remember in his Cage Warriors bantamweight championship fight, he fought, I think it was like Dominique Dueling. It was like some jobber, dude. And I had him in a parlay with like Adam Cullen or something like that. And that fight is just a prime example. It lives in my memory for the rest of my life. I lost bad money on him, and he got absolutely trashed in the round 3 because he didn't have a grappling advantage. And in the Ultimate Fighter, that was the same as that case when he fought Offley. He didn't have a grappling advantage in that fight. He got dominated in round 1. And then I looking at Ziggy, it's like, how much do I really trust him? Not too much because the level of competition is kind of hard to gauge. But I think his wrestling look adequate. And if his wrestling look adequate, I think Nathan Fletcher's a fade, bro. Like how do you not win a Cage Warriors bantamweight fucking title, dude? Like that's wild, dude. Like we saw guys like Colin Lafferin, Jake Hadley was a featherweight, flyweight champion. Colin Lafferin was like a bantamweight champion. Like Nathan Fletcher was in there at the right time. Like he was fighting like jobbers when he was in the promotion, and he still couldn't win the chip. I don't know, man. Bad taste in my mouth. I think he's a fade. I like Ziggy Montas here in this one.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, but that fight, Dominic Wooden isn't a bum though. I mean, that guy, he has like a lot of losses.
Right, he was supposed to beat him, dude. Everybody was there, and he was
stuff.
sitting cage side, and everybody was like astonished. He was like minus 550, dude, and he got trashed.
Well, but Fletcher, wasn't he like, he was like dominating the fight, and then he got flying kneed in the 3rd round, right? He was like taking his back and
he
shit.
won the
like,
first round, and then the second round, he tried to do the same exact thing, and it just did not work. And then the dude just kept on landing on him and landing on him. And like, I'll give him credit. Like, since that fight, like he's definitely has fought different, but like I still don't think he's that good. Like, I don't really rate like next level generation Liverpool wrestling that great. Like, they're really like good submission grapplers, and I don't know, man. Ziggy Montas didn't give me any like inclination to say he's going to be that adequate or behind a step behind. So I think he's definitely worth a dog shot. Like I think the line movement's telling you everything you need to know. Minus 184, minus 164. Like I think this probably goes off minus 150. I mean, like he's Paddy to Baddy's training partner, and people aren't betting on him. Like it seems like a fit.
Yeah, this is like a weird market though, because we've only had like whatever 4 days or fucking however long since they set the fight up, So I don't think
it's
it's
a line.
yeah. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it'll be a good fight. I feel like that'll be like a fun fight regardless. But yeah, for the next one, I'm not too interested in this one. I mean, Josiane Nunes versus Cavalcanti. I mean, I feel like Cavalcanti probably will win via decision, but I just don't trust her at all, especially at that line. I feel like she floats her chin out there. I mean, if Nunes just closed the distance with some combinations, maybe she could land something. So I don't know, but I'm not running to the window on Nunes either because I feel like Cavalcanti's just better everywhere. So yeah, it's just one of those fights I'm not too interested in. But anyone have like a stronger read on this one?
No, this is a complete pass for me. I mean, I actually, and if anything, I would be on Nunes because I mean they're fighting in the apex, excuse me. I think Cavalcanti, she's good. She's way more technical. She'll be able to pick her up apart on the feet. But if she stays on her back foot, dancing around the outside, and Nunes is able to, successfully pressure, it could get ugly. Nunes could get some cage control time, but Nunes is a really low level fighter in my opinion. Cavalcanti should have a pretty easy decision here. This decision win, but I'm a little scared of this fight. I'm staying away. Don't be parlaying Cavalcanti. It makes no sense. There's better spots on the card, I think. If you want to take a dog shot on Nunes, personally, I really don't hate it, but she's not really just a fighter you want to be betting on. She's very low level, man, and very undersized, and there's a lot of question marks.
This is funny. That shows how much of a fucking DJ and I am, man. Because they're all talking about Musayev like that's like a cool ass fight, and I'm sitting here watching this Ashley Yoder fight.
Ashley Yoder,
but Yoder's fucking her up, dude. So good shit. But yeah, Billy, what do you think? You got a choice on this fight where you got a strong lean?
Yeah, kind of like Cavalcante. It's kind of growing on me here as the week has gone along. I think she's going to have the metrics on her side. I mean, she's going to have a 5-inch height and the 3-inch reach advantage, and the volume's going to be on her side. I mean, like Nunes is really short for the division. I feel like her lack of size has really prohibited her, especially in that last fight versus Chelsea Chandler, where she had a clear athletic and speed advantage, and she just got dominated the whole entire fight. I had like a Chelsea Chandler dog ticket there and actually thought she was good for a second. She has good power for the weight class, but she kind of lacks everything else. I don't think she's really UFC level. There's a scenario where this fight could be greasy, but I think Cavalcante gets her ham raised. And like when you kind of look at the price tags on the card, I'd rather fade Josiane Nunes than GM3, to be honest with you. Like if we really start picking and choosing here, so it's like it could be worse.
I don't know. I wouldn't. I personally would never bet that line, dude. I think that's a crazy line.
Like for example, on Bet365, you could bet Cavalcante to win and over 1.5 total rounds at -150. Like I would probably bet that.
Yeah, she could win. It's just I don't know. I just have no trust in that fight. Like maybe I'm being like I don't know. I see a lot. Some people think Cavalcanti is like a lock and stuff, but one thing about Nunes I think could help. It's like this fight is at 135, right? Like all her other fights she was at 145. So, but we'll see. I mean, I'm just not a big fan of Cavalcanti's defense, man. The way she backs up, but yeah, this next fight, man, I don't have a good read on this one at all. So I'll let Billy go first on this one. See what he thinks. Dennis Bazooka, he's taking on Francis Marshall. What do you think about this one? They got Marshall as the favorite, even though he's had like less than 5 days notice for the fight. So
yeah, pre-flop probably won't be betting on this one, but my read on it is kind of like Marshall's taking this fight on short notice. He's filling in for Silva. Yeah, he's been trained down in Vegas area. He kind of got out of the North Jersey area. Both guys are kind of agreeing to take this fight at 155. I think that's going to help Dennis Bazooka, though. He trains at the Serra-Longo MMA gym. On the regional scene, he used a lot of his grappling towards his advantage, but his striking has really been developing. He knocked out Connor Matthews in his last fight in Atlantic City. I believe the wrong fighter's favored. There is a little bit of value here on Dennis Bazooka at the window, but I just don't think either guy's really that reliable. And like both fighters are kind of like disposable to the promotion, so it's kind of like I'm leaning towards Dennis. But if you hit the price tag, would I feel the same way? I don't know. Dennis Bazooka round 3 decisions plus 200. I thought that was a good price tag.
Yeah, what do you think, Fitz?
I like Bazooka too. I think there's value there on the dog. I think it's a good pick. It's probably one of my favorite bets of the card. I just think he's developing. I know he's had a pretty tough stint in the UFC. He was like 0-3, but then when he would get cut the first time, he had a lot of success outside of it. And then he fought Sean Woodson, which is a really tough fight, and then he had another tough fight as well inside the UFC. Before getting his win against Connor Matthews, I was there for that win. It was exciting. And I think he's well-rounded, training at a good gym. And I just like the guy who has a full camp here as an underdog. I think that's a great bet, And I think Bazooka is someone we're going to see improvements from, and we're going to see level up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't have a great read on this fight. I would say maybe it could go under because both these guys have that one-punch power. But yeah, I mean, both of them, you're talking about Bazooka's last fight, they both dominated Connor Matthews. Francis Marshall, beat him up pretty good on Contender Series too. So I think that's probably why it's kind of close. I mean, I think Marshall has a better wrestling background. So we'll see. But I feel like you guys are probably right. I feel like the guy that's had the full camp when it's like a coin flip fight like this, I think probably should be the slight favorite. So maybe the line should be flipped, but yeah, I didn't honestly spend like a ton of time looking into that fight either. So,
Well, with this one being at 155, like, who do you think that helps to like the wrestler or kind
I
of
would say
Dennis?
I would say Francis probably just because he's probably the one that's heavier, like
Uh,
because
that's
Bazooka was
true.
trying to go down to 45, but who knows? I mean, maybe Francis isn't in great shape. That's why he couldn't make 45. So it's all like I don't know. It looked like
So,
Marshall was a
like,
bit
the
tough.
scenario makes me not want to bet the fight, but like, damn,
Yeah.
dude, I feel like the wrong fighter's favored. Like, this should be like a -110 pick 'em, like -120 Dennis
Yeah,
Bazooka.
like that's what I was saying. I feel like, because we all kind of think it's like 50-50. So I feel like Bazooka maybe should be favored just because he's like has better circumstances. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a weird line, like where maybe they know something that we don't. That's why he's like the underdog there still.
Well,
So,
Francis
but
Marshall left North Jersey, got the fuck out of Jersey, and he went to Vegas. So, I mean, he's probably definitely got a lot better. I can't imagine there's any gyms up there in North Jersey that are really popping like that. It's more like a grappling scene.
what was he? Doesn't Frankie have his gym there, or is that different
That's
somewhere
South
else?
Jersey.
Oh,
I don't know where he was training out of Francis, but yeah, that's
yeah.
Frankie's
So he
definitely by the
definitely
shore.
maybe he will look leveled up. So
Yeah, that's what I'm
it's
saying.
kind of
Off.
like a up in the air fight. Yeah. But this next one, this is another weird one for me, man, because I think Slava Borchev, has more experience. He's fought way better opponents. I think he's the better fighter, but he has no chin, man. I mean, he really has no chin. So,
And no takedown defense.
well, but I don't think Yontop's gonna take him down, man. I
But
mean, I.
anyone can take him down. Anyone can take him down.
But you're
Heck,
looking at when look at the
Anyone.
fight. Look at the
anyone,
fight he had
literally
before he
anyone.
fought Chase Hooper, though. When he fought, and that guy was pretty good. When he fought the Nazim guy, when he was
I
getting
will
right back
know,
up, he
man.
got
Check
taken
the
down.
IG. He's been doing the hooks. When you start seeing a highlight training film of you doing fucking grappling fucking hooks and it's nothing of you striking, I'm in.
Who are you? Yontop, you're saying?
Yeah, Lollipop. Look at his IG.
Yeah, I thought but man, I mean, I just watched a couple of his fights. I think he looks like a
Got
really
lucky,
bad
man.
fighter. He looks
Mills put
terrible.
me on. Mills put
Uh,
me on Padilla.
well, I don't. I
He
mean, I was just watching his fights, but I feel like the guy looks like his striking defense is horrible. Like
yeah,
his
I know.
reactions to feints are so bad. Like, and he's just walking forward. And his last fight, he got completely dominated by a guy that came in on like 3 days' notice. So I mean, I just don't know how anyone could have any faith in him. But Slava as well, like he got killed by Chase Hooper, who I think is underrated. I feel like Hooper gets shit on, like, because people. I think I said this when he fought Slava, like before the fight, that people kind of like remember Chase Hooper from Contender Series like 5-6 years ago, and it's not the same guy, but it's just the chin of Borchev, man. I mean, if he had a good chin, I think he could be like a -500 in this spot because he's going to be able to get back up. I mean, nothing from Yontop to me is unless he's leveled up, like you're saying, like with this grappling, it showed me that he's going to like hold him down or submit him on the ground or anything like that. He might get some takedowns, but on the feet, you think Slava's way better. It's just he could get touched once and get dropped and hurt or finished or whatever. So, yeah, it's just kind of my read on it. But what do you think Fitz about the fight?
I think, I was shitting on him, but I think Slava will win. It's just hard to have any faith at all in him after his last performance. It was, I know you're saying Chase Hooper's underrated, and I agree. I think he's a good fighter, but I mean, he got killed. Slava got dropped and then battered. It was a really bad showing. So it's hard
It
to
wasn't a
think of
long
him.
time ago either. That's another thing.
Exactly. And now
Yeah.
he's minus 200, against Yontop, who I really don't think is too good. I rewatched his fight. He got smoked. So I ultimately think Slava gets a bounce back performance here. I think he looks pretty good, honestly. I think if he wins, it's going to be a good showing. But if he definitely can lose, man, he can get knocked out, he can get taken down. He's not that great of a fighter in my opinion. Just glaring weaknesses in his game. As good as he is on the feet, and he has that ability to have some nasty KOs, but he has holes, man, and the durability is a huge one, and the grappling is another one.
Yeah, that's another thing about Slava that I think he doesn't have. Like, he doesn't have much power, man. Like, he's landing these like sick combinations, like so much volume, and he usually doesn't get the knockout like until like huge accumulation of strikes, or a decision. So, but yeah, it seemed like Billy, you're maybe taking a shot on the underdog here.
I'm just kind of leaning towards that side. Like when you kind of like your first thought is like, damn, like Slava kind of looks like a good parlay piece, but then when you actually look like the layers of the fight, it kind of makes it like a live dog shot here. I mean, I just don't feel like Slava's really looked that good. His last loss versus Hooper, uh, everybody thought it was going to be the takedown defense, but in reality, it was really the striking of the Chase Hooper. He just absolutely popping him on the feet. Granted, he got a submission in the end, but it was really the striking that led towards the grappling. And that was just 3 months ago. He's gone 1-3-1 in his last 5 fights, while the Peruvian didn't really have that good of a debut. Shouts to Mills, man. Mills put me on Padilla. He was saying on the show, this, that, and the third. This kid from Cali telling you don't parlay line top. This, that, and the third. He's going to get finished. I don't know what fucking script he had, but Padilla actually went out there and he got the job done. Like he called it by sub. We're on stream and everything. It was pretty weird. But I did so like my preconceived notion isn't really that bad. Like I expected him to lose in that UFC debut. On the Dana White Contender Series, I bet him against Malik Lewis, and I thought it was going to be a lot more striking, but it was really his offensive grappling that kind of led him getting the split decision. If he can mix it up on the feet, I think he's going to be more in live enough as an underdog here. Like the bookies are going to need some of these favorites to lose, and I mean, people are fan favorites of Slava. They're going to think it's going to be like the Slava College dance and stuff like that. I think there's some market deficiencies here in this line. Like he was such a big favorite in his UFC debut, and now he's like almost a 2-1 underdog. I definitely think this screams like a parlay shooter.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's dog or pass for sure, but I just don't know. Like, I don't have enough like trust in Yontop to like value hunt on him. To where it's like,
Yeah, I think it's just more of don't put Borchev in your parlays.
yeah. And this next fight, man, I think it's another one where it's a tricky fight for sure. Like Jose Medina versus Zach Reese. Medina's not that good, but I mean, he's taken a long time off, like over a year off. He's training with Entrum, which is probably the best gym in Latin America, and he looks in way better shape. He's coming down to 185. So, I mean, what do you think, Billy? Are you riding the Medina hype train? Maybe he could come back and look better, or you think Reese is going to cover that like huge price tag there?
Oddly enough, like the little mile thing that I use is saying like Zach Reese is the best favorite on the card, but like I kind of don't agree with that exactly, but I'm just gonna have to trust it a little bit more than what a little bit of negative like a negative condensation I have in my like brain of like Zach Reese a little bit. I mean, Medina, despite losing a unanimous decision on Dana White Contender Series, got signed in the UFC because of his durability, but one of the most questionable signings ever in Dana White Contender Series history. I mean,
I
he
think by far the most
like
We'll
most
see how
question.
good
fights
Dana
far
is.
and away.
We'll see
He
how
looked
good
like
Dana
he's
is,
in
man.
better physical shape for this bout, but regardless, his takedown defense is absolutely trash. And if it looks anything like it did in the Dana White Contender Series, then this is an awful matchup. Reese has the fighting style to become like a fan favorite. Maybe not like a UFC like champion, but he could definitely become a fan favorite. I mean, 8 pro fights, haven't gone the distance, all in the first round finishes. He's had less than 12 minutes of cage time in his professional bouts. While I don't think he's the most talented fighter long term in this particular bout, he's about to absolutely smoke Jose Medina. He's going to move to 8-1 pretty easily here in this. I like the under 1.5 minus 164. I like Zachary Reese to win by submission in rounds 1 or 2 at plus 260. I like Zachary Reese rounds 1 or 2 at minus 210 as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's like that 12 minutes of cage time, like you said. I think that's a huge disadvantage in this fight, though, honestly, because man, it's like he's used to going out there and landing like one punch, like the fight with Marquez. He knocked him out, that sick uppercut, or going to the ground, catching that submission quick, like within a minute or 2 minutes. That's like majority of his fights, almost every fight. Like probably his longest win is like 4 minutes or something, right? So
yeah, it's ridiculous.
If you got a Mexican dude like that survives that first round, he's like in your face, not even Mexican, not Peruvian, whatever the fuck, but
Bolivian.
Yeah, laughing
Bolivian.
at you.
That's a huge drop off, bro.
Well, either way, but if he's in your face, like laughing at you in round 2 and 3 and still putting the pressure on you, like is Zach Reese, we don't know anything about what he's going to do in a second round or a third round. And with Medina, we at least know he's going to keep coming. He's going to fight hard. So I don't know. I just don't know how you could justify that line on Reese with what we've seen. But it's
takedown defense, bro. Jose Medina's takedown defense is just like.
But how many takedown Reese? You think he could get takedowns for 15 minutes? Like if you can't get the finish?
I just don't. I don't think this fight goes past 6 minutes.
That's going to be
long term. I hear you. Zach Reese is a big fade long term. But for tomorrow, 8-24-24, yeah, Zach Reese is about to smoke, dude.
Yeah, he could. Like, if he wins, he's going to, 95% he's going to finish him, like, in 2 minutes if he wins. But, if he doesn't finish him early, I think that the line's going to look way off. So, it just depends. I don't know what Medina is going to come in and look like either. I mean, he has really good training partners to work with, man. I mean, he has a lot better gym than the gym Zach Reese is at for sure. And he's had a long time off to get ready. And Dana White, he signed him for a reason, I guess, in a way. Like, we'll see how good Dana White is at picking out these prospects, and I guess he saw something in him, so we'll see if he was right. But yeah, Fitz, I mean, what do you think? You think Zach Reese is gonna run through him, or you think Medina could maybe pose some problems here?
Yeah, I mean, shout out Medina, first ever fighter from Bolivia. People, I've seen him getting a lot of shit just because, it was kind of weird him getting signed. He literally got his ass beat, bad. And they gave him a contract for getting his ass whooped because he hung tough, whatever. He gets a chance to represent his country. I'm sure he's been putting in a lot of work coming down in weight class, but I like the submission shout for Reese. Medina's a big old Mexican with a big old head, like Guru said. So it's going to be tough to get him out of there. And, I think Reese, you guys kind of made a lot of great points. I'm going to fade him down the line, but, Medina, even if he has been training at this gym for a year, how much skills can you develop when there weren't a ton there, outside of a big heart, it's just the truth, a year is a long time off, but, these guys train years and years and years to level up to where they are. And I think Reese is just going to have a big athleticism advantage, a massive striking advantage. And I think it's either going to be a club and celeb or I think he's going to hurt him on the feet and then get him out of there with the choke. But I could also see him just starching him, to be honest. It could pay out close, so who knows? If Medina can survive the storm, we've never seen Reese extended, so no one knows. As many unknowns as there are about Medina, there are about Reese as soon as that first round ends. So he's another one of these favorites that I feel honestly safe with him just because of who Medina is as a fighter, but. It's a big line. It really is. It's a heavy favorite.
Another
Yeah,
thing,
nah,
like,
at first, when you see that line, you're like, yo, what the fuck are they telling
yeah.
me that I don't know? And then you run the film, and you're like, all right, I get it. I
Well,
get
it's like
it.
another thing though. It's like, do you think that when he got KO'd with a slam, like that was a fluke, or like
That was
how
super
durable is
fluke.
this
That
guy?
was super fluke, bro.
Because the
That
guy
was
got
the most
KO'd.
fluke of
Like,
fluke shit. He has, and it's fucked up to say this, he has some of the most fluke record, positive and negative. Like some of his wins are fucking meme ass subs. Like the
oh
submission
yeah,
that he got on the Contender Series was fucking wild, dude. He was getting smoked on the feet, just grabbed the dude's arm from bottom on an arm bar and just finished it. It was just like the most random submission ever. So like, yeah, I can definitely see why people would want to fade Zach Reese, but I mean, I just don't think Jose Medina should ever sniff the UFC. That is probably, honestly, I can't even think of a worse signing than Jose Medina. And it's not even anything of like negative of saying like Jose Medina is like trash or something like that. Like he's fine, like nothing wrong. He's just like just shouldn't be in the UFC. I think Zachary Reese is. I don't think he's a world beater, but he should definitely be in the UFC.
yeah. We'll see. I mean, Zach Reese, he's still kind of haven't improved, so this is a good test for him. It's a guy that he should like probably run through, but hopefully, eventually we'll see him, get extended and see what happens. But yeah, man, I feel like if you're gonna bet Reese, just bet him to win in the first round or round one, round two, because I don't see any other way he's gonna win. But
I think it's going to be a submission though, because like you were saying
yeah,
a little bit, like Jose Medina is kind of hard to knock out on the feet. Like Magomed, when he fought him on the Dana White Contender Series, he's really good at like top positions and stuff like that. But he's like more to be content and stay in top control. Like hence the Ferreira fight in Abu Dhabi, where he was just
yeah.
chilling in top mount the whole entire fight when he easily could have finished it. Like that's not Zach Reese. Zach Reese is gonna get, if he's on top, he's gonna try to submit something or throw a bunch of strikes. Like he's a wild motherfucker. Like
One
I
thing
just don't.
about Zach, I haven't
Yeah,
seen like what he does on top really though. Like if he's like a ground and pounder, most of his submissions, dude, are like off of his
off of
back.
his back.
So
Yeah,
it's like if he gets on top, I don't know if he's gonna try to like
I think it's like
elbow the
what
shit
Fitz
out of
said.
him or sub him.
Probably going to be a club and sub. Like he's probably going to clip him
Yeah.
with something. He's probably going to drop, and then whatever happens from there happens.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I think if Reese wins, he'll look really good and then maybe you'll get some hype on him and we'll see who he fights next. Like you guys said, we might be able to fade him eventually. But next one, we got another Ultimate Fighter fight. This is a finale fight, right? So this is going to be the
Yes.
winner of the Ultimate Fighter. Yeah.
Yes.
So, Kind Offley taking on Myron Santos. And, yeah, man, I kind of I think the line's fairly accurate. Like I don't see a lot of value there. I'm not really too impressed with either guy. I mean, I feel like Myron, he's a technical striker. He keeps that upright stance where he can move forward and backwards well, and he has decent countering. But I don't think he's anything special. I feel like he's not like super powerful. And if you could eat shots, pressure him, you could maybe get ahead. But you look at Offley, I feel like he's not a great striker going backwards. Like he doesn't have good kick defense, and he's trying to time like one shot counters where I feel like Santos is going to be a little bit too technical for that. And he could go in there and try to grapple. I mean, we saw Dan Argueta do that to Santos, but I just don't think Offley has that level of wrestling. Like I've seen him, he did good on Contender Series or Ultimate Fighter with his wrestling, but I've seen other fights where he struggles to get takedowns. And I feel like Myron is a pretty good defensive wrestler. Like Dan Argueta is just relentless, and I think he's pretty good. So, but yeah, man, what do you think about it, Billy? This fight?
Out of all the Ultimate Fighter fights, this is the one I'm probably the most confident in. I really like Santos a lot here. He's a massive featherweight. It was rumored on the show he was cutting around 30 pounds on the show to make the weight for the fights. His roots come from Valley Tulo. He's well rounded everywhere. His story's pretty cool. He was in the corner for Carol Rosa for one of her UFC fights, and they told him to stay in Vegas and don't go back to Brazil. And a couple years later, here we are. His striking was the most impressive from the fights that I watched on the show. In this first fight, he fought Edwin Cooper Jr., a Jackson Wink All-American wrestler who finished everyone in the regional scene. He was able to show his resilience and durability and take over late in that fight. And that's probably going to be the same exact game plan that he's going to want to use here against Con Offley. It looks like he's supposed to be really, really good. He's like a coach somewhere, and like he has really good ground game. But he's the Hex featherweight champion, and if Stuart Nichols or anything of what the Hex organization is offering, and the dude off of the Contender Series, Roaston from City Kickboxing, he fought in Hex and stuff like that. Like, if you fought in Hex and you weren't in like external MMA, there's probably a fave for a reason, dude. I think Byron Santos is probably going to smoke him here in this fight in the second or third rounds. It could definitely be like a unanimous decision where Offley is just like kind of like getting like dropped or something like that. But I think the later this fight goes, the more it favors Santos. He's massive for this weight class. I like him by KO decision at -185. Or if you have access on FanDuel, Santos to win and fight to start round 2 at -115.
Yeah, what do you think, Fizz?
Yeah, so I'm kind of going to disagree here. I mean, I definitely, the one thing that's really holding me back from betting Khan is the size difference, exactly as Billy said. There's definitely going to be a size discrepancy, but I like, I like the pressure of Khan in the Ultimate Fighter. He had one quick guillotine, but in his other fight, he was really able against the guy Nathaniel, who's going to be on this card too. He pushed the grappling and he dominated that fight. On the feet, he's going to be at a disadvantage here against Santos. Santos is definitely slicker. Khan, I noticed he throws like a lot of elbows, like a crazy amount of elbows, which is, interesting. Maybe he'll get some damage there with a cut, but I see the grappling here. And, I like that decision plus 450 for Khan. I think that's a really good line. The size, it definitely gives me questions. And Santos did look pretty good, but, he was definitely able to get controlled in a couple of his fights, on the Ultimate Fighter. In his last fight, he gave up his back trying to stand up in the first round. And against someone like Khan who can get submissions, I think that's dangerous, So I'm just going to be on the underdog here. I understand why Santos is a favorite. If this fight plays out on the feet, he'll look like even more than a -200 favorite. I really believe so. But I'm going to have faith in Khan to be able to go out there and get the takedowns and get some control time. And, I like, for something like this, an Ultimate Fighter champion, I'm going to back my guy, the guy I think has the momentum, who I was rooting for kind of. So not a crazy bet here, but I'll be on Khan, to come out as the featherweight champion.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. That'll be a good one, though. And next fight, I don't have much to say about this one. Edmund Shabazian versus Mearshart. I mean, I don't know. I think Edmund probably will knock him out, but what do you guys think? Is anyone going to take the shot on GM3 here?
No, not me. I think Edmund, he has, a lot of grappling credentials himself, and I just think that Gerald's a little washed. Maybe if this fight was like 2 years ago, this would be GM3 all day. But I think the age has really caught up to Gerald, unfortunately, and you never know with Gerald, man. I mean, how many times has everyone counted him out, and he's gone out there and proved so many people wrong. So you really can't count this guy out. He comes into literally almost every fight besides, when he's fighting someone in his last fight, like Brian Barberena. That's about the only time I've seen Gerald as a big time favorite. So you just got to be wary of fading GM3 just blindly, just because you don't like him. But for me, it's Edmund here. I think he gets the job done. There's going to be a big striking advantage, but if this fight plays out over 3 rounds, it's going to get sweaty. It's going to get scary. And Gerald is definitely always going to be live. He's never going to quit on himself. And he has, how many submission wins does he have in the UFC? It's almost like countless. So you just got to be wary. But I think Edmund gets the job done here and makes it look easy, gets a big knockout on the feet, and proves that, he's ready finally to take this step up. He can string some wins together. And I expect a good performance here from Edmund.
Yeah, what do you think, Billy?
GM3 historically has been a slow starter because he's such a good grappler, but it's cost him before versus like the younger prospects like Joe Pfeiffer, Chimaev, Ian Heinisch, and Santos isn't really a prospect, but they were all able to finish him early. Shabazian has the clear striking advantage on the feet with a 10-year age gap here, still being at the age of 26. I kind of feel like we have yet to see the best version of him. His cardio is kind of looks like it's improving. But him and GM3, both their fights have gone over 1.5 total rounds in 4 of their last 5 fights. Shabazian's wrestling defense will be tested, but I think he's going to be good wrestling wise here with his takedown defense. The bookies are expecting the early finish for Shabazian or GM3 rounds 2 or 3 by submission, but I wouldn't rule out a Shabazian just winning a unanimous decision here in this spot. We've seen a lot of these fights in the UFC of recent that are juiced to go towards the over have gone towards decision. This fight kind of gives me like Tom Nolan vibes from last week. Over 1.5 total rounds in this one's plus 100. Edmund Shabazian to win by decisions plus 800. Like that's pretty wild for a minus 300 favorite.
Yeah, for sure, man. In this next fight, we got a huge favorite, Michael Morales versus Neil Magny. So, yeah, Billy, what do you think about this fight? Where do you think we could bet on it here?
Yeah, I've been high on Michael Morales, man. Undefeated prospect, despite his background really being in judo and grappling. He's really been getting the job done with his striking in the UFC, winning 11 out of his 16 pro career wins by knockout. But it's against the likes of like Trevin Giles, Adam Fugit, Max Griffin, and Jake Matthews. So this is a step up in competition for sure, taking on Magny, who has like the 4th most career wins in the UFC. But Magny's like your typical gatekeeper in the UFC. He's been in the UFC for 14 years now, but he's really just taken advantage of prospects' cardios like Mike Mallet, Phil Rowe, D-Rod, Max Griffin. A lot of his wins are like him coming back and rallying. I don't think this is going to be here on the table in this matchup. I think Michael Morales is more in the Ian Gary, Shavkat Rachmanov bucket of talent. Career path wise, he's been a talent that I've been really high on. He hasn't really gotten that highlight reel knockout yet. They really back up the talent while both guys are kind of patient. I think it's going to be the use of the leg kicks here for Michael Morales that's probably going to lead towards a finish late in this fight. I kind of like Michael Morales' round props, round 2s plus 700, round 3s plus 850. Even if you look at Magny's career, he's gotten submitted a lot. Usually when he loses inside the distance, it's by submission. Michael Morales' submission prop sitting at plus 650. So for as big of a favorite as he is, there's some value on the props.
Yeah, I actually like Morales to win by decision in this fight. Honestly, I mean, Morales to me is a point fighter. When you look at all like his fight style, like he doesn't really hunt the finishes, man. Even on the feet, it's like he's really just picking his shots. He's not throwing with much power. I do think that a submission is kind of tricky with Morales for sure because he does have that grappling background. And if you look at Magny's career, man, I mean, he hasn't. No one's like that's been a striker besides Ponzi. I think he's like the only one, and Lorenz Larkin. Yeah, those two are the only ones that went in there and kind of like knocked out Magny on the feet. And like most of the guys, when he loses, he's getting submitted, and then Ian Gary decisioned him, and he's lost like I think a couple of decisions, striking based decisions. But I feel like he's been pretty durable, man. Hard to hurt, like and take out with strikes throughout his whole career. And Morales to me isn't necessarily like a big hitter. Maybe if he really does accumulate a lot of leg kicks, he could make Magny quit, But we
That's the
saw
only way he gets a finish.
Ian Gary, man, land like 60 leg kicks on Magny, and he still was like coming forward trying to fight. So I just feel like he's that type of guy where it's going to be hard to get him out of there with like leg kicks or some sort of like strikes like that where it's not like you're knocking him out unconscious, but Morales maybe is going to show better grappling than we've seen in the past. Like he hasn't really shown his grappling too much. So if he can bring it to the ground or something like time a takedown, maybe he could hit a submission and make a statement, But if it stays standing, I just think it'll be Morales kind of just outpointing him a little bit. But yeah, man. I mean, at the number, I feel like the money line number at this point, I mean, I guess the value's on Magny, but I'll just look at the props, maybe like Morales by submission and by decision and see if one of those hits for you. But yeah, Fitz, what do you think?
I mean, I think the line's a little crazy. I'm a big fan of
Yeah,
Michael
it's wide,
Morales.
sure.
But it's crazy. I mean, Magny just showed in his last fight what he can do to a contender, and Michael Morales is no Mike Mallet. I actually really agree with you, Guru. I think Morales he looks like the part of someone who's a crazy. He's very intimidating looking. He's huge, but if you watch him, he kind of has a slow pace. So I think the decision is
Yeah.
what will happen here. Or it'll be a later finish. I really personally, I know Magny, he gets submitted. It's a clear hole in his game. But just for whatever reason in this particular matchup, I really don't see Morales finding a submission against Neil Magny. I think he would even struggle to get takedowns. Magny just with all his experience and his ability to use his length to stop the takedown. I know he's not a great grappler. He's shown holds, but at the end of the day, Neil Magny, the ultimate gatekeeper, I expect Morales to get past it, but I don't think he's going to pass with flying colors. I think this is a pretty, back and forth fight. I don't think it'll be that much of a barn burner. I think it's a slower fight in my opinion, and I think Morales gets a decision win. Right at a little plus money, plus 110, plus 105. You can get it at still. I think. That's a pretty good bet in my opinion because Morales, I think, definitely gets the win here. As wide as the line is, as much as I'd like to take that shot on Neil Magny, I can't do it against someone like Michael Morales who's storming up the rankings. So I gotta have confidence in him. But I do think it could play out a little closer than some people are thinking. And like Billy said, I think if you target a finish, go rounds 2 or 3, target that accumulation of damage.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
plus 700, plus 850. I mean the round 2 and 3 round props are higher than the actual money line to Neil Magny. The line's a little bit ridiculous, but it's just I don't know, man. I'm not into like betting on things just because the line is where it's at. I feel like the value's in winning. Like you have a better chance of doing the research and trying to find like the method of victory than betting on the dog that is probably going to lose.
Yeah, like I feel like Magny. I mean, there's gonna be people betting him, and if he wins, he'll look really good. But I just don't think it's even. I don't know. I just don't see the value in Magny even at that line. Like I said, like, he has the value, but it's like I don't know. I'm just not too interested. And I feel like Morales is definitely gonna win, but because honestly, I feel like Jake Matthews is better than Neo Magny. Like right now in
Like, yeah,
2024.
Max Griffin's not bad at all, bro. Max Griffin's not
Yeah.
bad at all. Like,
Well, Matt, I mean,
I just
Neo, dude, the way that he fucking
yeah,
slammed
he
Max
whooped
like
his
that
ass.
was so sick. He like
Yeah.
fucking like Undertakered him, dude. That was sweet. But yeah, they both be the Max fight was close. Like both of them had close fights with Griffin.
I
But
also think there's a little bit of like bypass for Michael Morales of like fresh off the Dana White Contender Series. He was like 21 years old, and he got that finish over Trevin Giles, and he got like a 50K bonus in his country. That's probably like a shitload of money in Ecuador. And
Definitely
like
is.
you get that type of money, and his whole appearance looked different. He was wearing like the UFC shit that they give him, and then he was pulling up in designer with gold chains around his necks and like Jordan shoes and shit like that. So like his life has changed. I can't imagine being 21 years old with like that type of money in your pocket and stuff like that, and being at that type of like MMA level type of game. So I feel like he kind of got lost in it a little bit, but he's still been able to show that he can fight at a very high level for 15 minutes against the upper echelon of division eventually in his career. But I think this is the highlight reel finish that he's been looking for. I think it could be like a leg kick type of thing where Magny like drops and then he finds a submission and he didn't even have to get a takedown. Like it's going to be a weird finish. Like on paper, it doesn't seem like he should get a finish, but plus 700 and plus 850 is wild.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think they're kind of like just thinking Magny super durable, but it is good value for sure. I mean, I think if he wins, it'll be like you said, like later on. So, but yeah, man, this next fight, I feel like this is the line's a little off, man. I think this should be a pick 'em, honestly. But having said that, I'm still gonna pick Valentine though. I just feel like he's gonna find a finish somehow. I don't know what it is. Like I just feel like he'll explode and get the knockout or get a submission at one point. But I feel like overall, like Loder is better than him, and like Loder has good footwork, good movement. You could tell he's like definitely athletic for being a big guy like that. Good check hook, like he controls distance really well. Good kicks with the lead leg, and then his wrestling is going to be a lot better than Roberts. So it's like he could get that wrestling ride position and just ride it out, or even hit a submission on Robert. But I feel like something's telling me that Loder's just gonna get overwhelmed at some point and finished. I mean, Valentine's one of those guys where it's like doesn't seem like he has a style that would work, but he's big, like rangy, and he's violent and kind of just opportunistic and gets the job done. And his grappling is really good when he can get on top. So if he can get in top position, he could finish a lot of guys. But I just feel like he's really flawed, you know. But I don't know. I'm still gonna pick him for some reason. What do you think, Fitz? Who do you got here?
Yeah, I like Valentine, but it's just like I said for the Ultimate Fighter. I'm kind of just riding with the guys I like for the momentum, that I liked on the show. Valentine, I don't even know what you call that submission he hit in his last fight. It was sick. It was like a crucifix and a Kimura or a arm lock with his legs. It was nasty. I really never seen anything like that. But Loder's good, man. He's technical. He's a good grappler. He's real boring though, if you ask me, especially on the feet. No power, no. And that's where I think the real difference is that Valentine has that knockout power. He has that fight ender, and that's going to make all the difference here. I really believe he's going to be the one doing the damage. The one thing I really worry about is Loder putting Valentine on his back and Valentine having no answers for that. But at the end of the day, I'm going to ride who I think has the momentum. I'm not betting this fight, though. I'll bet the other one. I'll bet Khan, but I won't bet Valentine here as a favorite. Maybe I'll look for a prop, but I don't feel great in any of them. Loder, he's a solid fighter. He's in the final for a reason. He had 2 good showings, very technical, good grappler, but boring fighter on the feet, man. I wouldn't really be too excited to see him in the UFC as someone they're looking to push, Ultimate Fighters, close enough to dead already. They don't need this guy, Ryan Loder, carrying the banner.
Yeah, what do you think, Billy? Who you got here?
I had a little rebuttal. I mean, I feel like Valentine was definitely like the most prominent character on the show. He definitely got a lot of popularity throughout the season. He definitely felt like the main character of the season. His striking looked like it got a lot better on the show. In the first fight, he was able to knock out a Cage Warriors champion who just never been knocked out before, but he was kind of fighting up a weight class. But then he fought that Irishman in a fucking barn burner where he was able to fight through adversity and win the fight. He got absolutely clipped in that fight. But he seems very front loaded. Like if Loder's able to sustain some damage, the further this fight goes, the more this heavily favors him. Like he's a former collegiate wrestler. It shows in his fighting game and his training. He's a coach at Team Alpha Male. He's only getting better fight by fight by fight. Granted, he doesn't have the most like entertaining fighting style, but hey, when your boys are your eye favor, you get these type of spots and scenarios. So I think it's one of those fights where like I initially was leaning towards the under 2.5, but to be honest with you, dude, my gut is telling me I think Ryan Loder's a way better fighter, like through it and throughout. Like I just kind of gotten tricked by watching the Ultimate Fighter season, and this dude was like sleeping in the backyard and shit, and was like some of the shit that he was doing on the show was absolutely ridiculous. He was like a cornerman for like Team Grasso. The big controversy was Valentina was going to draft him second, and Grasso ended up drafting him, and he was like training with Valentina before the show. So like, yeah, I think they got what they wanted for him for the TV aspect of it, but like for the real aspect of fighting, like if this is a real fight and this isn't a rigged fight, I think Ryan Loder's a way better fighter everywhere. Like everywhere. I think Ryan Loder's gonna probably get his ass beat in the first round and probably come back in the second and third and win by decision at plus 480.
Yeah, I think Loder is the side if you want to bet it, but the reason why like I'm not betting him is if you watch that fight, he lost like on A1 Combat, like
He got
every
popped.
well, whenever the guy was like turning up on him, like you could tell Loder's like so uncomfortable, man. Like he's not like that composed on the feet yet, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why I just feel like Valentine is gonna explode on him and land something, but that's why
Do
I'm
you think
saying
it's
like
an advantage or disadvantage that they're fighting in the Apex and they just did the whole like show on there basically? Because like we always talk about UFC jitters, but is it really UFC jitters?
well, I don't know if they'll have jitters like that. I have no clue. I mean, I feel like Valentine is like one of those guys where he's gonna like have that same type of performance like everywhere, you know, even with the crowd or without a crowd. Like he's like I don't know, one of these people that like doesn't really care. He like fights for himself, you know. But with Loder, I mean, I don't think it's like jitters or anything. It's just like I think he doesn't like getting clipped heavy and like being in like a
Yeah, he
corner.
definitely looks uncomfortable getting punched in the face, but like the actual wrestling aspect of this is like night and day, I feel like.
Yo, what's up, Gabe, man? Wish you were in here, bro. Next time we'll get you in here. But yeah, I know you were on Loder, so yeah, man, I get it. I think Loder, like I said, he's a better fighter, so maybe I'll be kicking myself that I didn't pick him or bet on him. But yeah, we'll see. I think both the Ultimate Fighter fights are good, you know. But co-main event, Angela Hill versus Tabitha Ricci. It's another one of these fights for Angela Hill where she's trying to keep her number and hold someone back, stay in that top 10. And I kind of like Ricci in this spot though. I feel like she's gonna have a significant speed advantage on the feet in terms of her movement, like side to side, lateral movement, things like that. The hands wise, I don't really know who's gonna have faster hands. I mean, both have really fast hands, but I feel like Ricci can kind of copy that similar game plan that Mackenzie Dern had, where she's moving around, then closing the distance with the 2-3s, the 3-2s, being fast, like high volume. It's just, I don't know if Ricci's going to have the power. So that's where she's going to have more cardio than Mackenzie, probably, because Mackenzie, you know, she had the power to rock Angela, get on top, and kind of do a lot of damage. Where Ricci, I think she's going to have to move, throw a lot of volume, and maybe, you know, keep that movement going for 15 minutes because she's not going to drop her or like have any significant crazy control time. But I could see Ricci mixing in some takedowns too. And I just feel like uh, it's a good matchup for her here, honestly. But yeah, Fitz, are you going to go with Ricci or Angela Hill here?
Yeah, Ricci is one of my favorite bets on the card. Honestly, I'm a fan of her. I've been. I think we all know why. She looks good. But she's skilled as a fighter. She came in, I think, mostly as a grappler. She's really developed the striking. I think, like you said, I think the movement is going to be huge in this fight, and I think Ricci is able to use the striking. I think it's going to be probably a very close first round. Angela Hill honestly comes on later in her fights. I feel does better as the fight goes on. Sometimes, so you got to be wary of that. But I think Ricci is going to be able to mix in the takedowns, and that's what will win the fight. Is she's the more well-rounded fighter. I see her, pretty clear. Probably like 29-28 Ricci decision here, and I'm fairly confident in this one. Well, one of my bigger bets of the night, I think, will be on Ricci Tabitha here.
What about you, Billy? What do you think, man? Yo, you're muted, brother.
I think it's a unanimous panel here. I mean, Hill, she's kind of had this like career resurgence. You've been seeing like her on Instagram with like Jenna Bishop and stuff at the age of 39. She's definitely looked career best, but she has some of the most experience in the division. She's a tough test for these upcoming fighters, but Ricci's coming off that big win against Pennington. She's trying to show the promotion. She's ready for that next step. She's a very good grappler and dangerous with submissions, and her wrestling's improving. I think it's going to be a close fight, but Ricci, the younger fighter with the grappling upside, and I think, like you said, she'll be a little bit faster, like laterally. I think it's always tough fading Angela Hill at the end of the day, but I like Tabitha Ricci here in this spot.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. I mean, I feel like honestly, early on, Tabitha should strike, man, because if she does try to wrestle grapple early, I mean, Angela is gonna be, I think, stronger, and I think she's gonna be good in the clinch early. So it's like just move around and do some damage, and then get the takedown. Like when Angela Hill thinks you're gonna be striking, because if they just get like a wrestling scrambles and stuff, you could tell Angela Hill's putting a lot of work, like in her grappling. So it could be interesting, like if they just if Ricci wants to go out there like first round and try to like just test who's a better wrestler early on, because she couldn't take down Tisha either. Like that fight was like pretty much all stand up, and it was like I remember a lot of people thought that Tisha won, but
I
yeah,
thought Tisha won, but I had to rewatch it and kind of rewatch it. I kind of understood why I lost.
yeah,
Yeah, I had
but yeah,
Tisha in that fight too. I was disappointed.
this is a way different matchup, so I'm not trying to compare the fight. I'm just saying, like, I think she should try to strike like she was doing in that fight, like more early on at least. But yeah, main event time, man, and this interesting one. I'm curious to see what people think about this one. I was like I bet on Jared a little bit, and I was more confident in him earlier, though. I'm kind of like second guessing it a little bit. I don't know. I mean, Kyle, it's like how good of a striker is he? Is he really? I feel like he could, be on that Imavov level. He has good footwork movement. He could time those crosses and stuff like that. But his punching technique sometimes gets really sloppy, and I feel like he's not that good in the pocket. So it's just going to come down to if Jared can walk him down without getting taken out with the double or like push against the cage and stuff. And if Kyle can move around him and land those counters. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Jared would be like a pick 'em price tag or maybe even a slight favorite if that Evenfall fight didn't happen. So it's just it's a huge step up for Kyle, man. I feel like he's never fought anyone even close to this well-rounded or good on the feet, like in the pocket, things like that. Like Paul Craig isn't. He used to be good, but he's not that good, man. I don't know. I mean, it's like this is a big step up to me, but yeah. What do you think about it, Fitz? Who do you got in this one?
I'm passing on betting this fight, at least from a money line perspective. I might, swing something. I'll, of course, bet it because it's the main event. I'll have something just to sweat. But I understand why you bet Cannonier, and I want to as well. But it's just a little tough for me based on his last performance. I feel like he wilted there. He did have a decent first 2 rounds, but they were very close, But Imavov's a tough competitor. This fight for me is just so hard to bet because Cannonier's a guy who normally takes long layoffs and all of a sudden he's really desperate to get back in the octagon. I think he has a bad taste. I know he has a bad taste in his mouth. He thinks he got robbed in his last fight. He did. I don't know if he was going to go on to win the fight, but he should have at least had a chance. And Herzog stepped in and prematurely took that away from him. It was an awful stoppage, a god awful stoppage if you watch it.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, how can you fade the fighting nerds, dude? It is my thing. Like they're literally on fire. I saw something today. It's like between the main 4 guys, it's something like a 42 fight win streak. Like undefeated, those 4 guys: Ruffy, Gene Silva, Kyle, in the UFC. It's insane what they've been doing, man. And it's been, it really came to the forefront last week with practice. And all week I'm seeing posts about MMA nerds, and now they're getting the guy in the main event. Maybe it's a sign where everyone's going crazy and they lose, but I think this ultimately will be the cherry on top for the MMA nerds, and Kyle will be looking right down the scope of a title shot after Saturday night.
Well, is that true though? Because isn't that one dude fights there too?
I know. I just between the main 4 guys, not the whole gym, but between those 4 guys, yeah, Kanyan Kunazeski, whatever, yeah.
Yeah,
they have some other fighter.
No, that was a late ad. That was a late ad, Guru. He wasn't a day one, brother.
Yeah. I'm talking just the 4 horsemen of MMA nerds.
Last name. They ain't Brazilian.
He's all right. Well, I think. But what do you think about it, Billy? Who you got in this one?
To be honest with you, Kyle Barallo was the first fighting nerd that I didn't even know what the fuck the fighting nerds was, and I
don't think anyone really did.
I was so oblivious to it because I remember betting on him against Aaron Jeffries when Aaron Jeffries was supposed to be the A side in the Dana White Contender Series, and Kyle Barallo went in there and like just did his thing, and ever since then it's been off to the good riddance. I feel like the Killer Gorilla didn't really look the same coming off that ACL surgery. Imavov, granted, it was a premature stoppage, but he's been dealing with a lot of injuries besides the ACL surgery, and it just feels weird seeing him at this price tag, and I think it's for a reason. While I don't want to show on Jared Cannonier, man, I feel like we're about to start seeing like definitely a decline in his performances. There's definitely like parts of the film where you can see like grappling exchanges where if it's a different type of person, they could definitely get a submission. So I wouldn't rule Kyle Barallo out to win by submission, but he's probably just going to win a decision.
Yeah, this is like Jared was winning, 2018 against Imavov, who's in the top 5 though, and Kyle's never fought anyone like even close to that level. So I just think it's a crossroads fight for Jared for sure. It's like if he loses this fight, his career's kind of done, man. I mean, not done in terms of like he's gonna get cut, but he'd probably fall out of the top 10, and if he wins, he's going to be one of the top 3 names for a title shot. So it's like, it's a huge fight for
You
both
think this
guys.
fight gets you a title shot? There's no way.
No, I
No,
said
no,
like
not even close.
one of the top 3 guys. Like he'll be like, he'll be.
Yeah, I completely disagree with that too, because you have Strickland, you have Whitaker, and you have the winner of Allen versus Imavov. So I mean,
Shit, I'd rather see Bo Nickel in that bitch.
Bo Nickel. I mean, what the Bo Nickel just beat Jamie Pickett, bro.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like I'm not trying to see Jared Cannonier fight for a title.
No, I got it. It's just, I guess it just matters. Like to me, it matters how much weight you put in that last fight. Like, are you gonna really count that as like a?
it's not
legitimate
just
loss
his
for
last
him?
fight though. I mean, besides
Bro,
the Vittori
I-
fight, I personally think he lost to Sean. If you look at that, it's like 1-3 in his last 4. The Izzy fight was
Yeah, but I'm saying,
horrendous.
but look at his
The
resume.
guy's 37 years old and he gets a title shot. Probably the only title shot of his entire career. Everyone knew it, and he has just an all-time horrible performance. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't show any heart. Doesn't take any risks. That really put me off Cannonier.
I feel like that's how they get you though, Guru. With the resume and stuff like that. Like I don't think the resume matters too much. Like I think this is just right place, right time for Kyle Borello here.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just how where Jared is at right now.
The one thing I like about Jared is he's making that short turnaround because he always takes layoff. Like he's a very inactive fighter.
That's fine though, bro. You get it.
I disagree. I think he's highly motivated. He's got
I think in the back of his mind, he knows he's only got about 4 more fights in his career, and he's.
I don't believe that.
Get it while it's hot. You want to get me with a main event? You pay me main event money. What's up? I mean, like, bro, I remember when he was fighting Israel Adesanya for the championship and stuff like that. He was talking about how broke he was and stuff like that. Like, he's about his money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know though. I don't think he's coming in here for a paycheck though. Because why?
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm just saying, like, I feel like that was like an added like bonus to like the quick like turnaround. Like they said, yeah, you're gonna be a main event. And we're paying you a certain amount of money, so I'm there.
Well, I know Jared too, though. He accepted. They asked him. He said it at the media day that they asked him if he would fight Holland at 205 in Utah or whatever, and he said yes. And then Holland didn't want to do it at 205, and like he couldn't make 185, so like they didn't do the shit. But so he would have fought like a month after that fucking Imavov fight. He said yes, so. I think he's been probably like in the gym, like fucking training hard and shit. So he would have said yes to anybody.
This is definitely a tough fight. Like the price tag seems a little bit wild, but it's just like if you're just asking like a prediction and who's gonna win, like I think Kyle Borello wins. It's just like
I said, I'm not as
not that bad.
I was a lot more confident. Like when earlier in the week when I was thinking about it, I was more confident in Jared, but. I don't know. I mean, look at the line hit versus Paul Craig, dude. Like, what the fuck? You opened it. I guess he closed it a huge favor too in that one though too. So never mind. But the opening line was crazy in that fight. Like, it's like similar to the Jared fight, and I feel like Jared's way better than Paul. But I guess they're both dangerous in their own way.
You can't compare resumes, though. I feel like you just got to compare like fighting styles.
Well, I'm just looking at I'm just saying the line, like that minus 185. It closed at minus 510. Like that was a horrible opening line. Like
in reality, looking at the price tags on this card and stuff like that, like feels like Kyle Borello should be like minus 350, 400 with like people like Zach Reese at 600 and stuff like that.
I mean, look who they're huge difference between Medina though and Cannonier.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like the price tags on this card are
like
wild.
imagine they fought.
I do think you guys are like, dude, Jared, if you would have won that last fight, he probably would have got a title shot. So it's like,
I understand. I think the line's too wide. I completely agree. Just for me, I think Jared's on the decline, and it's hard for me to back a fighter who actively declining. Actively, I think is going to, not to be harsh, I think he's going to look worse and worse every fight.
Yeah, this is that fight that's going to tell, because like you guys are saying,
this is a big.
He had a long
for both guys. This is a big tell.
He had a long layoff before that last fight too, like over a year. So
like another injury. It's bad injury, bro.
Yeah, but I'm saying he could, like, now that he's come back 3 months, maybe like fucking looks a lot better. Like where he got that ring rust off and now he's gonna look good, or he looks like shit. So it's like it'll probably be one of the two. I mean, I think if Jared loses, he'll get dominated. So I don't see it
I think he's gonna start
being
off hot
close.
though. I think he starts off hot in this one. I
Well,
don't know,
he always does. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like I think he starts off hot. Like that's
the thing about like Jared at 185, like he's like destroyed all the every grappler he's fought, he's won pretty easily. Like I guess Brunson like beat him up in round 1, but he
my
beat
problem is
Hermanson and
the way Kyle Barrelo fights. It's kind of like that It's like kind of like a blend of that Wonder Boy stance. And if he starts throwing leg kicks against Jared Cannonier, the shit start cracking him and stuff like that. I, I don't want to touch Jared Cannonier after like 8 to 10.
well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think he's gonna have to try to use like the Imhoff Israel style where he's like moving around, striking a lot. Because like,
Yeah.
you guys think he could? I don't think he's just gonna fucking take down Jared in the first.
No,
round.
the takedowns would have to be from like fatigueness, like where I
Yeah.
think he drops the first round, and then like we see him in the back end of like the second round, where like the Kyle betters are like looking at the book, they're like, "Fuck, dude, it's 150, it's 150. He's not wrestling," and then he like gets the takedown at the end of round 2.
Do you think Kyle could maybe be like a good live bet then?
I definitely think Kyle could be a good live bet, but I don't also want to gamble on the live line.
Yeah.
Like it's probably going to be the way that the fight's set up. In theory, it sounds like a good live bet, but in reality, the move is probably have Kyle to end out your parlays and just bet Jared Cannonier on the other side of like, let's say you have like 2 to 3, you have 3 to 4 leg parlays that have already cashed throughout the night, and like you're waiting on like Kyle Barrelo as like the last leg or something like that. I think that would be the way to kind of play it, and then you bet Cannonier and hedge on the other side.
Yeah, something's telling me I want to hedge on this fight, but I only bet half a unit on Jared, so I'm gonna just let it ride probably. But I don't know.
I would just throw in like a little degen parlay, like of a bunch of fucking
Yeah.
favorites, and throw like Kyle in there as like the last leg. So it's like you look at it, and you have like your Jerry Cannonier ticket, but you're like, all right, worst comes to worst, if Kyle wins, like I cash this parlay, and it's like a 6-7 leg parlay or something like that. Like, it's one of those type of cards. Like there's a couple of like, I don't want to say gimmies, but like, man, I mean, like Wang's gonna smoke Victoria type shit. Like I feel like there's a couple of like those type of fights where it's like we talked about in the beginning of the video about Kobe Bryant Day tomorrow and stuff like that. Like you can see for an average Apex card, it's a little bit better than an average Apex card.
Yeah, it's a good card for sure. And I think they like went into because it's the finale for Ultimate Fighter, they probably wanted to like beef it up too. But like, yeah, you usually don't see like Jared Cannonier, like fucking Neil Magny Morales, and all these guys are like usually like
Tabitha Ricci, Angela Hill. That sounds like
that would be the main event. That would be the main event.
I feel like a main event of like an Apex card.
That's
like
an Apex main event.
Morales versus Neil Magny could be an Apex main event,
which I think was originally going to be the main event. They got this fight scheduled. You know, I think this is relatively short notice for Kyle and Jared in the main event.
Like this card, like in reality, is pretty banging. Like, would you like really,
great card,
especially with the 3 Ultimate Fighter fights they added? It makes it the one downside is losing Danny Silva, because I think his fight with Dennis would have been a sick fight.
Yeah, but
I
think
that
would
have been a war. That would have been an easy fight for Danny. To me,
250 though on Danny Silva, bro, is wild.
He would have won that fight easily, though.
He would have won the fight easy, but like, damn, it would have been like all the MMA guys on Twitter, like, we're parlaying up Danny Silva. And then you're like, all right, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like,
yeah, dude. That shit's always annoying when everyone's like on the same person. It's always like makes me nervous for some reason.
That's how I felt with Danny Barlow a couple of weeks ago. It was like, all right, now everybody's on the Danny Barlow train, but where were you guys like fucking 3 fights ago? Like,
yeah, dude. But yeah, man, this was fun, guys.
This is last week, man. Everybody's on the protest train now. Everyone's smoking cigs, trying to be cool.
Yeah. But yeah, man, this was fun, guys. Breaking down this card. It was a good card, and thanks, guys, for coming on. So yeah, Billy, if you want to tell them what you got going on, and then Fitz, and then we'll close this one up, man.
Yeah, hopefully we can get you guys over on one of these live streams, man. Check us out, Pub Sports Radio. We usually go live like during the fights, and we just live bet the fights and watch the fights and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, just hit me up. I'll jump on for a minute or whatever if you hit me
for
up.
For sure. Fitz, you said you have IG, so definitely send me your IG and stuff like that. I'll drop you guys some links tomorrow and we watch the
Perfect. Yeah, I'm around tomorrow.
Sounds good, man. But yeah, you catch me over at Pub, man. We just make a bunch of fucking videos about sports and try to make people money for free. I mean, where can you go wrong with that?
Yeah, dude. I actually made pretty good money today, so it's always good to make some money going into UFC tomorrow. So hopefully you guys made money on PFL and all that. And yeah, Fitz,
That's
man,
why you
if you
got to
want
be
to
on the
tell me,
Patreon.
yeah, bro, for sure. But yeah, man, Fitz, you got your TikTok, and then
Yeah, Fitzmagic MMA. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the card. I'm looking forward to Michael Morales fighting. Getting that step up, and it's a good main event. We'll see who the tough champions are crowned. That doesn't hold too much weight anymore. But yeah, we'll be back here. It's the truth, man. I mean, not even Conor McGregor could bring back the Ultimate Fighter, which is crazy. It's sad because it saved the UFC back in the day. Really, I mean. So it's a big part of the company's history, but the show's gone to shit. But the fights are still good, and the fighters, can still deliver, of course. And I think they will tomorrow. And then we got Contender Series, rolling. It's been great. We're locked and loaded, ready to go. So this is a great time.
yeah, dude, they need to I don't know. I feel like they could do different shit with Ultimate Fighter again. That would be good. Like they could.
Why don't they have a
poorly
women's
produced
weight
show.
class, bro? It makes no sense, bro. Get all these little evicted girls, get all these little girls out here, and just make it like if you want to beef up these women's divisions, it starts with the TV shows, man. Like that's how people start getting on the stories. I guess they tried to do that, and then they had Juliana Miller, and look at that.
Yeah, I mean they did good with that though. I mean they got Pena won her season, and then Carla Esparza won her season.
Rose was on that season, like fucking.
Well,
Mercedes,
if you like all
all
those
those
girls
girls
that
were all still in the UFC from a decade ago.
yeah, dude, fucking Yoder one day. She was on that show. So shout out to Yoder. She won me some money. So
Spider.
I've always been an Ashley Yoder
cast.
fan. I don't know why, but yeah, dude. Fucking it was a cool. I actually I feel like Ultimate Fire could be cool, but they just got to do some different shit, But it's hard to get people to watch a TV show like that anymore.
I think you put the boys with the girls, and then you have
exactly. You make it a show. You pull up the drama. You give them a bunch of fucking alcohol. Make it crazy. Seriously, that's because we have Contender Series for
PG-13, bro. Like
if we can't bet it, that's the main appeal. Is people would be watching to bet it. You can't bet it. So you got to make it entertaining. Like you got to focus on the entertainment side and just make it messy. Cast people not based on prospects, but on personality. And that's how you do the show. You get the wildest characters in there,
Dana, give me and Fitz a call. We'll help you out. We'll plan it out.
Seriously.
You get the chick weight class, you get the male weight class, and boom, that's a TV show right there.
Yeah, well, good shit, guys. We got fucking some ideas for Dana White at the end of the show. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back. We'll do another stream on Monday, pretty sure, and then get some more stuff in. So thanks for watching, guys, and enjoy the fights tomorrow. So yeah, dude. Good shit though, guys. That was fun.
Yo, how about Yamasaki reffing in PFL?
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Which fights did he ref?
2 fights